Think about your kitchen for a second. That bottle of olive oil you might drizzle on things almost every day. Ever stop to think about its whole global journey?
Mm.
Or maybe it's tucked away in a health supplement or even a face cream. It turns out its path from, the tree to your shelf is way more complex and, frankly, economically bigger than most of us imagine. So today, that's exactly what we're digging into, the global Olea Europaea Oil Market. Yeah, olive oil. But it's definitely not just about salad dressing. We've got this detailed forecast report here. Global Olive Oil Market Forecast, 2021-2033 growth analysis from Cognitive Market Research. Our mission really is to pull out the key stuff where the market is now, where it seems to be headed, and well, why it's growing so dynamically all over the world. And when I say dynamic, I mean, get this, the numbers are pretty striking. Back in 2021, the market was valued at about $3.56 billion. Okay, sizable. But it's projected to hit $4.75 billion by 2025. And then looking further out to 2033, an impressive $8.42 billion. That works out to a 7.42% compound annual growth rate, CAGR. We're talking more than doubling in size in just over a decade. That's
Wow.
significant.
It really is.
Yeah.
And what's truly fascinating, I think, is how deeply woven olive oil has become into, well, so many parts of our lives, often without us really noticing. And like you said, it's not just the cooking aspect, which is obviously huge, but the market's energy, its growth, it's really tied to health, nutrition, its role in pharmaceuticals now, cosmetics, and yeah, still that core culinary demand globally. The sheer breadth of use, that's the key to understanding this growth spurt we're seeing.
Right. So what does this actually mean for you listening? It means olive oil might be hiding in plain sight in more things than you think. And its global story, it's way more complicated and evolving faster than just that bottle on the counter suggests. Let's really unpack this. Okay, so that jump, $3.56 billion to a projected $8.42 billion by 2033, with that solid 7.42% CAGR. That's more than just people trying out more Mediterranean recipes, right? Feels like something bigger is driving it.
Oh, absolutely. You've hit the nail on the head. It's a much larger trend. If we look at the bigger picture, sure, home cooking contributes, but that's not the main engine. The real core driver is this rising global preference for natural, healthy oils. And that's across all the ways it's used. So, yes, food, obviously, but also cosmetics, pharmaceuticals, and in this rapidly growing area called nutraceutical.
Nutraceuticals, can you break that down a bit?
Sure. Simply put, nutraceuticals are basically products made from food sources but designed to give extra health benefits beyond just basic nutrition. Think specialized supplements, fortified foods, maybe functional drinks, and olive oil, with all its well-known stuff, antioxidants, anti-inflammatory compounds, those heart-healthy fats. It's kind of a perfect fit for these health-focused products. Then in cosmetics, it's valued for moisturizing, skin benefits, often replacing synthetic stuff. Pharmaceuticals might use it as a natural carrier oil or sometimes even as an active component. So this whole global shift towards wellness, towards natural ingredients, it's a huge underlying current, and olive oil is just perfectly positioned to ride that wave.
That connects a lot of dots, really changes how you might think about it. So maybe you take a second and think how many things you use daily, whether it's in the medicine cabinet, bathroom shelf, pantry. Actually have olive oil in them. It's probably, way more common than you'd guess. Now, okay, when we think olive oil, traditionally our minds jump straight to Europe, right? The Mediterranean. It's always been the heartland, the traditional consumption base for centuries. But the report shows even there, things are getting interesting.
Definitely. Europe is still a powerhouse, no question. But the patterns are evolving. Back in 2021, the market there was about $1.41 billion. It's projected to climb to $3.11 billion by 2033. That's a solid 6.81% to KGR. Still very healthy growth for a mature market. And within that, you see the big players staying strong. The UK is expected to hit $617 million by 2033, Germany around $517.3 million, France at $402 million. And Italy, perhaps surprisingly a bit lower on that list, but still significant, at $336.5 million. These places have deep roots with olive oil, so steady growth makes sense.
But here's where it gets really interesting, I thought. Spain, a huge traditional producer, right? They're showing one of the strongest growth rates within Europe, an 8.1% CAGR. Heading towards $339.6 million. And maybe even more surprising is the rest of Europe category. We're talking Russia, Sweden, Denmark, Switzerland, Luxembourg, places not historically huge olive oil consumers. They're showing exceptional growth. Get this, 9.56% CAGR. Expected to reach $236.8 million. That's not just creeping up. Something is definitely shifting there.
It does raise that important question, doesn't it? What's behind this kind of acceleration in, well, seemingly mature markets like Spain or these newer European adopters? For Spain, it could be a mix of things. They're massive producers, but maybe they're innovating more. New products like convenient sprays or really pushing into that nutraceutical angle with their high-quality oils.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Leveraging their strengths.
Exactly. And for the rest of Europe, we're likely seeing a broader adoption of Mediterranean diet ideas, even in cooler climates, probably driven by health campaigns, people wanting more natural foods, plus better distribution and maybe more diverse products, infused oils, specialty blends, making it easier to get into these non-traditional areas. It really suggests some more, let's say, sophisticated and varied consumption patterns spreading across the whole continent.
Okay, so Europe's still vital, but it's clear the real explosive growth, the biggest momentum, is happening elsewhere. The report really points to other regions reshaping the global picture.
Absolutely. The standout really is the Asia-Pacific region. It's tagged as the fastest growing hub overall. It jumped from around $652.9 million in 2021 and is forecast to hit $1.75 billion by 2033. That's a very strong 8.57% CAGR. That kind of speed points to some pretty major cultural shifts happening. Within APAC, China is a huge part of that story. Revenues there are projected to surge to $669.2 million by 2033. And that's backed by a really high CGR of 9.49%, likely driven by, the expanding middle class, more exposure to Western food trends, and that growing focus on health olive oil seen as a premium healthy option.
And what really jumped out at me, especially if you track emerging markets, is India. India has the fastest growth rate in the entire region, an incredible 9.63% CAGR, projected to reach $210.2 million. That's a massive nugget of insight, isn't it? That kind of growth in such a huge, diverse market points to really significant adoption. We also see other key players chipping in: Japan at $294.3 million, South Korea $134.9 million, Australia $170.3 million, all contributing to this regional boom, often for similar driven reasons.
Yeah, that Indian surge is particularly interesting. It suggests a real shift away from maybe more traditional cooking oils towards olive oil, probably for the perceived health perks and maybe its association with a modern, healthier lifestyle. Speaks volumes about global info flow and what consumers aspire to. Then if we shift focus south, South America is also showing impressive speed. It's growing from $221.2 million in 2021 up to $564.3 million by 2033. That's an 8.12% CAGR.
And leading the charge there, according to the report, are Brazil, expected to hit $278.2 million with a strong 8.65% CAGR. And Colombia, also growing fast at 8.55% CAGR, reaching $71.1 million. Similar story, maybe? Urbanization, rising incomes, more interest in different cuisines, and health awareness.
Precisely. Those factors create fertile ground for a product like olive oil, which kind of ticks both the gourmet and healthy boxes for aspirational consumers. And we shouldn't overlook the Middle East either. Solid prospects there, increasing from $214 million in 2021 to $530.6 million by 2033. That's a healthy 7.85% CAGR. Saudi Arabia seems to be leading that growth, forecast at $201.6 million by 2033, with a really high 8.85% CAGR, supported strongly by the UAE, $124.7 million, and Turkey, $94.4 million. Things like the expanding hospitality sector, a growing affluent population focused on health, demand for premium imports, all fueling that embrace of olive oil.
Wow. So looking at Asia Pacific, South America, the Middle East together,
Yeah.
what's the takeaway for you listening? It really paints a picture of this massive cultural adoption, doesn't it? Olive oil integrating way beyond its Mediterranean origins. It's becoming truly global.
It absolutely is. It shows how fast food trends and health messages can cross borders and really influence markets worldwide.
Okay, let's swing over to North America now. Always a significant market, showing strong demand. The numbers there, $963.4 million back in 2021, growing pretty steadily to $2.23 billion by 2033. That's a 7.26% CAGR, a big piece of the global pie.
Right. The U.S. definitely dominates that region in terms of sheer size, expected to reach $1.46 billion by 2033, growing at 6.92% CAGR. But what's quite interesting here is that Canada, growing at 7.87% CAGR, projected $508.9 million, and Mexico at 8.10% CAGR, reaching $258.9 million. Both of those are actually expanding faster than the U.S. market.
Oh, that is interesting.
Yeah, it makes you wonder, doesn't it? What specific factors are driving quicker adoption in Canada and Mexico compared to their huge neighbor? Suggests maybe different consumer preferences or market approaches are at play.
Any thoughts on why that might be?
Well, it could be a few things. Maybe Canada's diverse population with strong European links meant an earlier, more widespread adoption of the Mediterranean diet. In Mexico, perhaps we're seeing olive oil get integrated into both traditional and modern cooking styles, plus that rising health awareness. And maybe distribution from Mediterranean producers is more direct or efficient into those markets. They're clearly actively seeking high quality, healthy stuff, and olive oil fits perfectly. Maybe sometimes at a better price point, too.
Fascinating. Different dynamics, even close neighbors. Okay, last region to touch on, Africa. A smaller market overall, but the report shows it's growing and definitely part of the story.
Yeah.
Revenue is expected to rise from $103.4 million in 2021 up to $227.4 million by 2033. That's a 6.32% CAGR.
Yeah, while the total size isn't like Asia or North America, that growth rate still signals real expansion. The key drivers mentioned are South Africa, projected at $104.1 million by 2033, and Nigeria at $62.3 million. These are economies developing rapidly, right? More urbanization, a growing middle class getting exposed to global food trends, becoming more health conscious, all driving demand for products like olive oil. The proportional growth is quite telling, even if the base is smaller.
Okay, so we've toured the globe, basically, from Europe's evolving base to these booming markets in Asia, the Americas, the Middle East, and steady growth in Africa, too. Pulling it all together, what's the single thread, the common denominator driving this widespread global adoption? What's the engine behind this multi-billion-dollar expansion?
It really seems to boil down to one core thing. The market is being universally fueled by this rising consumer preference for natural and healthy oils. It's not just a fad, it feels like a sustained global movement. People are more informed, maybe through research, maybe cultural shifts, and they're actively choosing ingredients with proven health benefits, heart health, anti-inflammatory properties, antioxidants. That stuff matters now, and this demand shows up not just in our food, but also in personal care products, health supplements. So this universal desire for natural and healthy really underscores why the olive oil market is so dynamic. It's health-driven, it's global, and it's influencing choices from the individual shopper right up to major manufacturers.
What an incredible picture. The whole Olea Europaea oil market. It's really transformed, hasn't it? From something many of us just saw as a, Mediterranean kitchen staple to this dynamic, truly global, multi-billion-dollar industry. And clearly driven by this powerful mix of health awareness and just finding more and more uses for it across different sectors we might not even think about.
Exactly. And while Europe is still that strong traditional foundation providing steady demand, the most exciting, the fastest growth, clearly happening elsewhere, Asia Pacific, South America, Middle East. It really signals this global shift in how olive oil is seen and used, becoming deeply integrated into all sorts of cultures and lifestyles worldwide. There's always more detail, of course, but understanding these big shifts helps us see the world and maybe even just our own kitchen cupboards in a new, much more connected way.
Absolutely. So what does this all mean for you as you make choices every day from what you eat to the other products you buy? Well, given this explosive global growth and all these diverse uses, maybe chew on this. What kind of innovations, maybe in farming or processing, will be needed to meet this booming demand sustainably? How might this huge expansion affect the traditional olive oil producers versus these emerging market players? Could we see new trade dynamics or competition? And maybe critically, what are the environmental questions that come with such widespread, accelerating demand? Things like water use, land availability, how olive groves handle climate change. Definitely something to ponder until our next deep dive.